Hi, friends. This is Tash Cox. You are watching Unwritten Rules of the Road. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. We have wonderful friends on our episode today. The amazing Jennifer Parkin and Eric Gottesman of Ayria and Everything Goes Cold, and many other projects, actually. Those are just a few to name. Thank y'all so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
So, just to kick things off, I actually, Eric, I don't remember when you and I actually met, but I remember, I think it was when I was playing in Mankind is Obsolete.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it may have been the LA show in 2008 with 16 Volt and Bellamorte. And
Ah, yes,
yeah,
yes,
we were playing
yes.
it. I think we are playing at the Key Club. Someplace doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I think it was we were Everything Goes Cold was at the bottom of the bill, and Mankind is Obsolete. And I think maybe I already knew John. Was John maybe already playing with Dismantled at that point?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So that may actually even have been how we got the show. So I
yeah.
think that's probably when we first met.
Yeah, I think so. And I this is actually my first time to get to officially meet you, Jenna. But I've heard so much about you and your amazing music. So it's such a privilege to get to chat with you today.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Nice to meet you. First
Yes,
time. Yeah, thanks
yes.
for having me on randomly here. It's great.
Yes, yes. No, I love that it worked out this way. Just jumping right in. We're getting some questions in our chat. Thank y'all so much. So this is from R47, and a question for Jen. I've been an Aria fan since 2008 when I was living in Siberia. Happy to see you are still musically active. Can you share some of your memories of your 2006 Russian tour?
Oh, wow. Yes, yeah. We played Russia. I was just starting out. I think Flicker had just come out. We just had Debris and Flicker. And I wasn't with Eric, didn't come on that one, but Eric's been playing live with me since 2005.
Yeah.
But not on that tour. I had a different lineup, but we were booked for 3 shows in Russia. I think it was Moscow, Saratov, and Samara. But unfortunately, one show had to be, I've never canceled a show, and that was the one time because the flight between, they're pretty far apart, was canceled for, oh, and I'm blanking now because that was quite a while ago. It was either Samara or Saratov was canceled. And so we slept on an airport floor and had to wait and reschedule to the next location, and then took the train all the way back to Moscow. It was quite the adventure. But the Russian fans, yeah, I've only gotten to play Russia that one, kind of the 2 shows, but really energetic fans. We had a great time. Everyone was really nice. Yeah. Thanks for that question. Brings back memories.
Oh, that's amazing. I have to ask, actually, what was your first international tour or show? Um, and what, I mean, like, what did you notice the difference between, playing here, I guess in North America, because you're a Canadian artist, so between North America and flying across the pond, so to speak.
That's for me, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Well, even being in the US is international to me, right? So
Yeah.
my first show was my first show internationally in the US was in Seattle, where I was getting my start with Ayria, working with Sean Franzen from Gliss and Mike Weimer. That was our very first tour we did with started with Raised in Black. Not North America. Oh my gosh. What was my first show? I think
Good question. Didn't she have like a Belgium show or something like?
yeah,
Four?
but
I think those.
oh no, the first international show was Wales, Cardiff, Wales, for Interzone Fest in 2004. That was my first time over the pond. Yeah.
Over the pond, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I asked that question because it's definitely different when you tour using like a van or a tour vehicle of some sort versus flying. Like, do you find logistically like that you do things a little bit differently?
Yeah, I have not done a lot of tour, like I usually just take the flight to get to the place, and then we're in vans. If we're with a bigger van, like we toured with VNV, and then it's a bus, so it's a lot different. But logistically, yeah, we haven't done a lot where you try to fly places because you just have so much gear, and I think I like to fly to the location, you get everything loaded into the trailer, and then you just hit the road in a van. So yeah, it's always a lot of logistics. Actually, the worst is the most difficult is the US, just because it's so massive to like, you're driving for, some of them are like 8 hours a day, right? So
Oh yeah.
The the first thing that I remember noticing about going to Europe the first time, like I think both of us had a lot of fly-ins where we're coming into someplace maybe our gear isn't even early on, but the first time I went to Europe was with Cyclone 9 in 2005. Well, that wasn't a full tour. The first time I toured Europe was in '07, and oh no, that's not true. It was '05. What? This is 20 years ago. Who knows? Anyway, but
we're really sounding like
yeah, we're really sounding professional here. The thing that I noticed though was that yeah, the Europeans would be like, oh God, we've got a 2-hour drive ahead of us. Better get ready. And of course, compared to the US where we sometimes not on our last tour, but on every other tour I've ever been on, at some point there's a 15-hour drive where you've got to like get off stage and drive straight from San Francisco to Salt Lake City or something like that.
I like the area, the last tour
Yeah,
that
last tour was so easy. It was great.
I organize these tours on purpose because you always get so sick on the road and everything. So the long drives kill you. When we did the Battle Cry tour, it was a 5-week tour, but we never had to drive over. Like, I make sure there's days off and everything. So you're welcome for
yeah. No, that was good. I think you had a policy that was like no drives over. Was it no drives over 5?
5 hours
Yeah.
is the max that we will do to get to that next show. It's just so draining and exhausting for everyone to do a van call in the morning for that. So because we've done one with, I think, Project Pitchfork, and it's not like sometimes it happens, but you get in the van, like, we've got 9 hours, we hit the road at 6 a.m. and we have to be there. No stop for pee, no food.
Yeah, the Pitchfork ones, I don't think we had any that were brutal on that Pitchfork
We
tour.
blame Mike.
I was on. Yeah.
Mike Weimer.
Yeah, we can always blame Mike Weimer. In fact, even if he's not on the tour, you can still probably blame him. He's had something to do with it.
I hope he's watching. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
We're missing our other tour mates, so it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, hi, Stu,
Yeah.
if you're watching.
Astrid.
Astrid, yeah.
Actually, no, it's interesting that you bring up the drive time, because I feel like every band has like kind of their like logistical limit. Like we also have like our cap on like, first of all, like how many hours in a day that we're willing to drive, and also how many days in a row. Out of curiosity, do y'all have a kind of a rough limit on how many days in a row that you're willing to go, or like how many days off a week?
I tried that, but the US just had the clusters of cities. I don't like to do more than 5 shows in a row. Like, I just, for my voice, it always, I'll either get sick or I'll wear it out completely. So I need a day off after 5. And we've done ones with I toured with the Crüxshadows where it's an intense one, and sometimes like they would do, I've done 9 shows. One time I think it was 11, and it's just and I know a lot of bands do that, right? Because every day off is another dollar, right? So it makes total sense, but you just wear yourself down so badly. So
Yeah, on our 2012 tour, we had the routing was not to our liking, and it was really rough, and we really all started suffering from that. And I think it really felt like everyone was suffering at the same time. If one band got sick, everybody got sick.
Oh yeah.
And but also if one person's voice is wearing out, everybody's voice is wearing out. And I think that I would like to go back in time and prioritize everybody's well-being a little bit more on some of those earlier tours. So this last tour that we did, we were very privileged to be able to make some of the decisions we made, I think, in terms of that stuff. The shorter drives and not too many shows in a row and all that.
With experience comes like kind of what can we kind of splurge on a little more, like days off. When you've done it so long, you're like, our health is more important than that one one show that or city that we'd kill ourselves to drive to. So we just didn't. And we still had a good route. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had a great route. I also think that we probably missing those cities. It sucks that we didn't get to play for those fans, but I think that we had a lot of fans travel, and I think that they got a better show than they would have otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting because, like, I think that's something that sometimes people don't realize, like, how truly taxing it is on the body to travel and to play shows every day. I was wondering actually for both of y'all, like, are there particular things that you do while you're on the road to help take care of your health? And okay, second part to the question, both of you are vocalists. When you do have those days that your vocals are worn down, are there any tricks that you do to try to resurrect the vocals or help take care of that?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay,
I'll probably have less on this than Jen, actually. I don't have anything that I do for my health. I just get sick, and that's it. Because I'm terrible at it.
You're good at pushing through. He can push through. I'm a baby. Like,
I'm very much we're gonna push through, and those 3 days that I'm gonna have a rest, that'll be great. But for my voice, I got a couple things. One thing is there's like this herbal throat spray thing that I swear by. It's called Singer's Saving Grace. You
gave me right? He gave me a bottle of it too. It's,
yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff, it's definitely more of it's a topical solution that you spray into your throat, and it creates the illusion that you're okay when you're not. So it's a good solution if you've got one more show left, and you just can't quite make it. It's great. It's not so good if you're in the middle of a tour, because it's likely to make you sing more strongly than you probably should and possibly hurt yourself. But other than that, vocal warm-ups obviously are a big thing. The other thing, this is a much more recent thing. We had Everything Goes Cold had a very long period where we didn't do very much, and giving my voice a really serious break, like not talking too much, not singing at all, and for a few days at a time, actually, before we had anything serious to do, really, even just going into rehearsals turned out to be we had a couple months of intensive rehearsals, and I gave myself a week before that, and that turned out to be really, really helpful. And when I came back into it, it was better.
So my side, before tours, I go into I work out a lot. So I try to get my stamina and everything up. And when I practice more, I'm the opposite. If I start practicing more before the shows, because I feel like I gotta thicken. If I haven't sang live in a while, I have a softer voice than him live anyways. So I gotta keep the more I sing, the more it's the muscle. And that's what I do before. Yeah, and then on the road, I know there was this period of time where it was all about cupcakes on an Ayria tour, all sugar cupcakes. And one tour seriously was that. It was just people were bringing us
one tour.
Okay. 1 decade of tours now. Okay. But we said I love cupcakes and sugar. I got a sweet tooth, and so people would every show they'd box of cupcakes, and we're oh my god. But I think the last tour, my other keyboard is Sarah, and we actually said please no more. And the past 2 tours, I think I need to eat healthy. I eat a lot of good stuff on the road, but and I didn't get sick for a couple tours, but it's just gonna happen if someone gets sick.
Yeah.
And one thing I do push through if I get sick. I've never canceled a show, but I played shows pretty sick. But what happens with me is the one time I got sick, it actually put me down into a bit of a lower register. So it didn't sound bad because my voice is quite kind of high anyway. So it just sounded more gravelly, but I don't love doing it. I hate pushing because you're afraid you're just gonna, that one show is gonna it's gone. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
I guess I should throw in one more thing. I have classical training for voice. And so I think I tend not to do things, or at least be aware when I am doing things that are worse for my throat, worse for my voice, and getting into good habits, I think, with the way that you sing is possibly more important than almost anything else you can do. So, definitely, obviously, and you know, in industrial music and things like that, there are a lot of people who are going out there and, yeah, doing a bunch of screaming, and you can do that and have it work, but having more awareness of where your limits are, and having good habits about how you sing is gonna do more for you than anything else possibly could.
And he sang backup for me on the last UK tour.
Yes, we have very similar voices, so it worked out nicely.
It's usually Sarah, who we're talking about. She does the backing vocals for Ayria, and then we couldn't bring her to the UK, and I look at Eric like, and some of them are like they're quite high, but he fit it. Well, he's classically trained. I'm not. He did an awesome job. So just saying, he sings on those tours as well. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it definitely helps to have that level of awareness because, like both of you were saying, sort of, I guess, in the back of your head, knowing like if I push too much, I really can hurt myself. So, yeah. Just gonna take a moment here. Rodensky is saying, "How are you so awesome,
Hi,
Jennifer?
Kevin.
And why do you put up with all of Eric's shenanigans?"
Wait, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
How are you so awesome, Jennifer? And why do you put up with all of Eric's shenanigans?
Oh, let me tell you. No, I don't. We have our bickers and everything, like fake, we've been friends for so long. So thank you. Yes, Ayria, awesome. Yeah, really, I'm awesome. That's the acronym. Yeah, no. It's nice to see you, Kevin. Eric and I are like, yeah, we go way back. We're great friends.
And we've been kept together all these years, mostly by Kevin's enthusiasm. He's been at the front row of almost every show we've ever played, no matter where it is. So.
How does Kevin be so? How are you so awesome, Kevin, for
Oh.
jumping up and down? He sings louder than I do. Sometimes it helps me remember the lyrics. So yeah, it's great.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, he's saying I remember the Cardiff show, and
He flew to it, and he's from the US, so that's amazing.
Oh, that is awesome. Also asking how many songs do you have for the new album, if you're able to share that.
Oh, yeah. I would say 7 are mostly complete, but not fully the final tracks and production not laid down. And I'm working I'd say another 3 are mid-process of being written. I structured them that way. I just have to write them fully first before. So I don't know how many tracks to do. It used to be 13 on all the first 4 was my lucky number, but that's quite a lot. But 13 is my lucky number. But I usually will do 10 to 13 max on a release. So I'm getting pretty close, but yeah, I'm pushing through. Hopefully I am done by the summer, and hopefully it comes out by the end of the year. So.
Well, actually, how do you know when you're done? Like, is it an intuition, or do you just feel like, I mean, you mentioned a set number, but like at what point, yeah, are you just like, you know what, this album is complete?
Yeah, it's usually a set number of tracks that I kind of know the various progress of each. And I think it through too. Like I actually am like, okay, I've got enough. Like there's the stompy ones, like because I like to balance the albums. I've got a ballad or 2. I've got a mid-tempo pop, and it's not so formulaic. I'm making it sound, but it's the styles I like to do and that I'm good at and seem to be part of like just the Ayria repertoire. So if I kind of feel like I've got enough finished of a good balance for the next release, and it's either 10 to 13, I go, that's complete. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always interesting because, some people I talk to, like, they have a predetermined number. And then sometimes it's sort of like they end up writing much, much more material that goes into the next album. So, yeah.
Do that. I never have enough. I don't, when I'm done, I'm done. There's no, on my way of writing songs, I don't finish it. I work on it like it's like I'm molding clay until it's like, even if I have to change something about it, I don't really have half songs that are waiting for the next album. That's just I know a lot of artists do. I know it's very common. When I'm working on it, it's gonna be worked out until it's a final Ayria song. Yeah.
Yeah, my thing has always been if it's worth finishing, it's gonna get finished.
Yeah.
I feel like I imagine somewhere there are like 500 unreleased Caustic albums on Matt Finale's various hard drives, but like I can't imagine either of us doing that.
No.
So, we have a question. And I'm so sorry if I mispronounce. I am the queen of mispronunciations, so bear with me. Jesus Bauer is asking, says, "Hello, Jennifer. Have you heard of the German festival Wave Gothic Treffen, and would you like to perform there? Thanks for the signed vinyl."
Yes, are you inviting us and booking us? We're there. I, nice I'm glad you're online. Thank you for yeah. Yes, I have heard of that festival. It's one of the biggest ones, longest running ones I'm aware of. But no, I've never been booked for those type of German festivals, and I would love to. It just never seems to happen, or yeah, but maybe, after maybe doing Ayria for 20 something years, maybe I'll get on it. That would be great.
I've been pushing for a mainland
Oh,
Europe.
no.
Well, I
No,
have
no.
played it a couple times,
Yes,
but
he's pushing for mainland Europe, and we're actually like, we're hanging out this weekend, and we're actually thinking about that seriously. So if there's people from Europe watching this, which there are, yeah, I think we were going to plan that, because we keep doing the US and the UK because that's the two major markets, but I think it would be really good to kind of expand out.
well, major markets for us.
Yeah,
I think most people would probably think that mainland Europe is a major market, but I think because we haven't done it before and it's now been so long, we don't have the infrastructure built up, I guess, to do it as easily.
Like I've played there, I opened on there, like I went with Project Pitchfork. I've been there with VNV and Crüxshadows, so I've always been the support act, but not on a festival. So yeah, but it would be good.
I played Treffen twice with Cyclone 9 back in the day, and obviously, as most people who are familiar with Cyclone 9 would imagine, it was chaotic, but I had a great time. That second time in 2007 was also, I think, my first time playing with Grendel, and that was really fun. That festival is huge, and there's just so much to do, and it's so surreal being in in an entire city that is just like, nothing but goth people who are way, dressed up way more outlandishly than I was at my craziest in my teenage years.
I think I mean, it's interesting because you're talking about, the festivals versus actual, shows. And so, I mean, do you have like a preference? Both are awesome. There's pros and cons to both for sure. I don't know. What are your thoughts on festivals versus
I'll
just
go
one-off
first.
shows?
Oh yeah, go for it.
I'll go first. I do love touring, but festivals, a lot of us have day jobs, right? We work 9 to 5. Sorry to shatter the illusion that we're not. Now festivals, they reach a larger audience because the lineups are usually so diverse that I'm enjoying festivals a lot more than I used to, I think. And I'm finding them, you need to take less time off of work. You're brought in and you just hit a bigger crowd. It's like one show and then you're done, and you've really only had to take like your weekend away, which at first I was like, oh, it's so much work just to get out there for one show. And I still need work visas for most countries because being Canadian. But now I'm like really enjoying festivals. So tours are way more work at this point. Yeah. You go ahead.
All right. Well, I was going to say, I love touring with Ayria, and I love playing festivals with basically all the other bands that I play with.
Okay. That's interesting.
Well, so here's my reason. Here's my reason. Touring, the requirements are so different, and also Ayria, when we did that US tour, I got to tell you, I didn't think I was ever going to do another full tour for the rest of my life. And when Jen proposed doing the US tour in 2023, I was like, that sounds crazy, and I didn't know how it was going to go, but it was very much one of those things where we now all have sort of the resources and experience and also the fan base that we were able to do things really, really comfortably. And like every show on that tour was good. And we were able to take it easy and, take it was by far the most relaxed tour I've ever been on, but we also had good turnouts every night. We didn't have to spend a lot of time doing a lot of the annoying little tour things that you have to do. And I mean, not that I would have to do this with Ayria because I'm not Jennifer or Mike, but like we don't have to spend a lot of time hassling promoters for details or making sure that the Facebook events were up and things like that in the way that I think we would in a smaller band that was having to work with less experienced people or things like that. And also for me, I didn't have to do any organizational stuff whatsoever. I literally just had to show up. And that was really great. But on the other side of things, especially since the end of COVID lockdowns, I have been going to and performing at festival after festival after festival, and there is a now I think separate infrastructure for festivals that is fantastic, and there's so many great festivals to play. And the fact is, I can go to a festival, and as a fan, I can see tiny bands that could never afford to tour, but they can afford to fly in for one show. And I think that we're going to see more and more of that kind of thing happening, and I think that's good. And I hope that people don't feel too overwhelmed by it. I think that sometimes is a thing, because there are a lot of sort of sometimes kind of similar events. But I don't know. Everything Goes Cold is playing 3 festivals coming up. We've got Resistance, Dark Force, and my favorite, Terminus. Sorry, guys, Terminus is always my favorite. Everybody knows that, but but no, they're all great festivals that I've been to before and I played at before. Actually, I think I played both of the Terminus and what do you call it? Well, I played all 3 of those in the area actually. But it's great because we were able to, our rehearsal schedules are such that we were able to sort of rehearse like it's a tour and do a lot of the upfront work for those ahead of time. But they're also spaced out enough that we can have a little bit of difference. We're gonna have a guest guitarist for a Dark Force festival. Our friend Ryan Lynch is stepping in for Jamie Cronander, who's a regular guitarist. Jamie's also Combi Christ, and he has his own projects, Solonum Zanti. And he's going to be off with Combi Christ in Europe right after Resistance. So but we have enough space in between all these things that we can sort of get creative and interesting with it, but without the pressure of having to be a big enough band to support ourselves on tour, or to find a bigger band to tour with that, may have different priorities than us. And it's, as both a fan and a performer, I think the festivals are, especially in North America, are in great shape right now. So yeah, go to those festivals.
Okay, I want to add one thing about because you said the organization, Eric. Yeah. I do a lot of the organization for the area tours. This is like off topic about festivals versus for a tour, like how much work a tour takes. I work for months, like with the logistics, and I actually don't have a booking agency. It's just myself and my drummer Mike, who actually is a booker, but I did a lot. No, the Battle Cry tour was a lot mostly me, because he was on other tours. And I take care of the merch printing, organizing everything, work visas, anything I need to do, and it takes months. And then once I hit the road, I was talking to you about this earlier. I said I put so much effort in, and I have a merch person. We've got the band. Once I'm on the road, my brain shuts down, because I now have to focus on the shows, like singing, getting sleep, trying to stay healthy. I shut down and just rely on everyone else. So I actually my brain goes to mush, and so everyone else has to take care of the logistics, like the drive, because it takes so much. I realize I'm that's why I said I'm a baby on the road, but it's because of all the work that goes in beforehand. So it's like behind the scenes, I'm just
She's always like that. It's pretty
on tour. Yeah.
I should throw in, by the way, the quality of show that you get on a tour at its best is better, I will say, because when the band has been out and
the timing. Our show on a tour is an hour and a half.
That's also
you'll get so much of the show. A festival set's usually 40, 45 minutes. Yeah.
But again, that's the thing where it's like, for area, that's great. We could play this hour and a half show. We're not going to play an hour and a half show for Everything Goes Cold in pretty much any situation, because we're a tiny band, right? So if we were on tour, we'd be opening. So again, as a tiny band, it's great to do these festivals. But with the area tour, by the time we're on week 3 or whatever of that tour, especially, things are so locked in. Sarah and I have weird little funky dance moves that we're making at each other or whatever, and all the inside jokes that are happening in our heads while we're on the stage that are making us operate together. That stuff is you are missing out on that when it's just festivals.
Yeah.
And that is great stuff.
Absolutely. I feel like I think that's kind of where some of the magic happens. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all magical, I think, just to get to play live, right? But yeah, we call it tour tight in our universe. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, I just love tour tight. You know?
Tour
Because
family.
once you find that flow, it feels like everything just kind of unlocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first three, like I'd say the first few shows are kind of sometimes just really awkward. Some can be nightmarish. They still put like the audience wouldn't know that, but you
Yeah.
haven't hit
Sorry,
that
beginning of tour
stride.
audiences.
You haven't hit your stride yet, so you're just like, okay, you learn from each thing, and then all of a sudden you get like it just becomes like a well-oiled machine, and you're just in your groove. So.
Absolutely. Actually, okay, so I was wondering for a band that is playing a festival for the first time, like what advice you would have for them, because you know, it is a very different vibe.
Well, my number one piece of advice would be expect the absolute worst from the sound check situation.
You might not get one. If
Yeah,
you're a first time.
yeah, exactly. I mean, be
Yeah.
ready to get literally no check and have to get on stage and play, and don't expect anything to work.
Go with the flow.
yeah.
You have to. You have no choice.
Have backup solutions if there's something that you really need. Don't bring lighting, or you're gonna get punched in the face by a lighting guy if you bring your own lighting. Well, maybe not if you're a big band, but
no, yeah, keep your tech simple. Keep anything that
Yeah.
have a backup cable right away, because you might have to go on, and if it doesn't work right away, it's going to cut into your set, right? So
yeah, and for the tech, I was sort of notorious earlier in my career for having a lot of really complicated tech stuff going on all the time, and I guess the thing that I learned from that over playing so many festivals, especially recently, is if you have a complicated tech need, make sure that if there's something that's a priority. So like an example might be you've got a drummer and your drummer needs a click track, and if you've got something like that, have backup options for everything. So for example, maybe you're normally running an Ableton Live, and Ableton Live is shooting your drummer a click track, and you're doing all sorts of cool stuff with that, but 75% of it you could technically perform without if you had to. Have like an MP3 player with a splitter that goes left and right. You've got a mono version of your tracks and and your drummer's click track and the other thing. Some emergency backup in case everything just goes to hell.
2 computers and 2 different programs with your backing stuff, right?
That is all. Yeah,
we do that every time.
Yeah, 2 audio interfaces, and more than anything else, never have only one of any cable. That is, the worst things that I've ever seen happen to people on festival stages are always like, well, we've got this one specialized USB cable, and that's the thing that broke. The interface is fine, the computer's fine, everything else, but there's this one weird cable that nobody else has, or maybe it doesn't even seem that weird. Maybe it's just a MIDI cable, but nobody else has a MIDI cable that's quite long enough for, something. So that's, get those backups, and it's important all the time, but at a festival, if you're on tour and something happens, there's a pretty good chance that somebody can, you can get a runner to go out to a store for you or something. At a festival, it's not going to happen. So
it's
have those backups.
Yeah. And then I'll add, not tech stuff, but if it's your first time at a festival and you get, you're talking maybe 25, 30 minutes, just, this is probably just a no-brainer, but start with your strongest and end with a very strong, like your 2 strongest tracks that you think would catch the audience first and last. Like that's when they're going to see you, because they're like, they want to check you out. And then they want to come in next for their next favorite band. So like end with a strong one.
Yeah, I always like to do like intros, and I always have to like train myself. It's like, no, this is a festival, don't do that.
Oh yeah, we cut every song that's kind of not, well, because you have so little time, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're starting out, I think we get pretty good set lengths at festivals.
Yeah, although actually I gotta say, for Resistance, I was pleased to find out it's like other than the headliners, everybody's getting similar set times, and it's pretty generous.
Yeah.
I was
Resistance area headline, but I got a full
we got a full set as area, but everybody got pretty good sets. I was like, it's funny, Leighton told me how much time we had, and I was like, and he was like, I'm really sorry about this, you can't go over. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's like a headlining set for us. Great. Like,
that's
so yeah. Also, you should usually avoid like taking a glass of red wine, throwing it at the promoter, and saying, "Don't you know who I am?" before the set. You gotta wait till after, or it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
So
No temper tantrums.
yeah,
Duly noted.
I know that's a problem for many of you, but
I love the redundancy advice. I actually saw Bjork perform at Coachella, and both of her computers went out.
Oh,
Yeah, both of them. And in this adorable accent, she's like, "Our computer is ill now, so I will sing ballads."
I love that. That's amazing.
And so everything
perfect.
was acoustic. It was amazing. I mean, I love her electronic, set.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
incredible. But just it was such a gift to get to, experience the songs in that way. So, I mean, talk
You
about
could just
triple
you could just
redundancy.
sing and it's like
Yeah.
and put on a show.
I saw Bjork in like 1996, 97 or something like that in
I've
LA.
never seen her,
And
no.
yeah, she brought it was like the Icelandic string octet. It was for what was that album? The album with the
We are
silver
going off
background.
tangent.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, anyway, but it's actually festival related. She brings this string octet and they all come in like tuxedos, like they're sitting down like, and they're playing in LA in the middle of the summer. And they were like, these guys, it was like their faces were melting off. They were so sweaty. It was terrible. So, choose appropriate
Yes.
clothing for the region that you're playing in,
Although
especially if it's a
he wore a suit for Ayria at Resistance.
Resistance.
Yeah.
I was, yeah, I was.
She's like, I'm regretting my life choices. Here I am in my little plastic wrap.
I'd seen Covenant one too many times that year, and it just,
It looked good. It looked good.
yeah, I played too many shows with Daniel Meyer and then saw him in Covenant, and I was like, I could do that. I could look cool like Daniel.
So we're getting a question from David Montoya.
Hi,
What's the
David.
what's the best city to visit on a tour, and why is it Tampa?
Okay, so David, he does make amazing cupcakes. I just have to say that. So I'm not like swearing off all cupcakes. I just they have to be more sparingly throughout the tour, not like every time.
Although I met David on this last tour, and I didn't add him on like social media until after that, and now I know that he could have brought us ribs,
Oh,
which he
yes.
didn't, and so I feel like I don't really
Yeah.
know, if we really got the full Tampa experience. Even.
David, we want to come back and visit Tampa. No, we will do I don't want to say this, but yeah, we will do another US tour. And we will visit Tampa, and we can't wait to see you, David. And I met David because I can't remember when I met David, but we hung out a lot. Ayria played the Goth Cruise twice. And yeah, I had a great time meeting a lot of great people, and a lot of them tend to be from Florida because that's where the cruises leave from. So yeah, so it's good to see you. Thanks, David.
I'll say something about Tampa, actually. Tampa is really interesting because it's someplace that I think a lot of people that I know from elsewhere wouldn't think of as being a super great place to go play goth or industrial music. But wow, that scene they really turned out for us. And
That
then
was amazing.
we went to the castle afterwards, which of course, I've heard about for a million years. And wow, that is one of the coolest nightclubs I've ever been to.
Yeah.
It was really, they've got a great scene there, a great community. Shout out to Tom Gold for doing everything that he does there. Really, it was a really cool place to be. And we got a lot of friends there now. So
Yeah.
a lot of people we know moved there.
I had been to the castle before. I'd been through on a few other tours, and then I remember we walked in and you said this club is like from a movie. But yeah, it was like
Yeah, it's like you see these movies that always have like these super cool, sexy nightclubs, and you're like, that doesn't exist in real life. Tampa the castle was close. It was
met
pretty
the
impressive.
expectations. There you go.
Yeah. Also,
I'm excited. Oh, go ahead. Go
Sorry.
ahead. Sorry.
I remember we walked into
Now
the
we're
venue.
just telling memories.
Yeah.
Like
No,
No,
but
please,
totally off
please.
tangent.
we walked into the venue in Tampa, and it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and it was like it looked like a barn, and we
Yeah.
walked in there, and you said, "This place is way too big. We're never going to be able to fill it." Oh crap!
I know.
And then it was fine though. We had a great night.
I'm yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always worried. I don't know. As the artist, you're like, can we pull this many people? But we did, and it was great. So.
Yeah.
So this is actually a question from Insomnia PhD saying hello. Hello to you. Do you feel like the touring game has changed in the years you have been doing this? Recorded music consumption has changed with streaming. Does that change the way you approach live music?
Not me personally. I think if anything, we're getting better shows.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it so long, so I have more of a repertoire and a catalog, and I used to just be the support. You know, I think I'd say paid my dues kind of thing, doing lots of supporting through the first decade. I was doing music, and then the past two tours we fully headlined it, and we're getting better and better crowds, because kind of worried because didn't know what to expect, but yeah, we pulled it off. So I don't change my approach to recording music, except early on I did. Some of my earlier songs on my first two releases, I would write songs like for 6 minutes, they'd go on and on and on. And then when we were having these opening slots, I would only get like a 30-minute set, and that's like what, 4 songs? Because the songs were just too long. I'm like, I need to tighten this up. Both for live shows, but also just so it's not so repetitive and just catchier. And like, I just got better at writing songs. But it does help with live, because I'm like, yes, okay, you fit that in 3 minutes, that. Like, you can just pack more songs in when you do get a festival set, and you're not stuck with like, I can only play like 3 songs. So that's my only change that I did. And that was way earlier in my like music recording career, but nothing's changed since. I still write the same way. So
I think that I feel like I'm constantly hearing these people talking about like how, oh, either touring is impossible now, or I'm sort of pontificating about these things. And I think, you know, touring changes every year. Touring changes locationally. The changes that we're experiencing in the US are not the same as changes that people are experiencing elsewhere. And also, this is the real kicker. Yeah, everything has changed for us over the course of 20 years, but part of that is that the community has changed. You know, goth music is not in the same place now that it was 20 years ago. I think in a lot of ways it's better, but also a lot of the people that would have been the most interested in seeing, you know, an area show, or you know, I don't know, How Job or Everything Goes Cold or Cyclone 9 or any, you know, small bands through the big bands, those people, you know, some of them, you know, a lot of them are older now, and they maybe they're not going out to as many shows. Maybe they're not as keyed into hearing about things happening. Maybe they're, you know, or maybe they have more disposable income and they're more likely to go. And the changes in the community, and especially the changes in, you know, regional tastes and things like that, are just as significant as these sort of big sea changes in, you know, the nature of touring. So I think I've been trying not to mention this, but I feel like it was the Daniel Graves rants about where he thinks touring is at are like all over the place. And I feel like I'm listening to people arguing about him constantly. And I think he's right about a lot of things. And I suspect that the person asking this question had that at least a little bit in mind. And he is right about a lot of things, but you know, a lot of the things that a small band experiences are very different than things that a big band experiences. And ultimately, you have to see for yourself, and you also have to, you know, and how much you can see for yourself kind of depends on your budget. You won't really know whether you're able to accomplish what you are setting out to accomplish on a tour until you try it. So I wouldn't take anybody else's takes on touring in general too seriously, because their perspectives are going to be warped by their personal experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like each tour is so unique, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, not just between artists, but even in your own realm, like I've always found that each tour is so unique and different. You might have some tours where you take some hits, like we definitely did last year. And then you have tours where you're like, wow, that was amazing. And so, yeah, I think it's such a unique experience. And for a person that has never toured before, yeah, and if it's something that you are called to do, I think it's something that you absolutely should experience. There is nothing like the live music community.
Yeah, I feel like I want to note, by the way, Tosh, of course, that your band has toured so aggressively, and has done a lot of things that fall way outside of my own experience, and I think they're worth noting in these kinds of conversations. One of the things that I know that you guys do is you play a lot of like much smaller markets, and take a lot of big risks on longer tours that in my mind, I always think like, oh, well, that's a big risk, and it would cost a lot. Either it would be costly, or whatever the results might not be immediately palpable. And then you and I have talked about this before, and clearly, you go back to those markets a second time and the audience is quadrupled in size or whatever, and and it was clearly worth it. And I think that if smaller bands are able to take those kinds of swings, I think they're likely to see a lot more results that my experiences and Jen's experiences may not cover.
Well, you made me think of something. One of my first like full US tours with the Crüxshadows. Love those. Like, what an opportunity it was. But we were out on the road for 3.5 months, and there was actually no end date at first to that tour. Like, we kept picking up shows. Like, that's how they did it. And it's not really how I do it, but I can't really, being not a native of US. But at the time we played like a city in Texas called College Station. Like, I have no idea where these places are. We were playing like on a deck in a backyard, and it's wild. The kids that came out though, because they did say no, nobody would come here, like like bands like you, and then the next time they might drive to the mega cities, right? So it's just like I don't do that. I just can't financially or logistically be gone that long, but I respect that so much, because I have done those types, like 2 of the tours with them. That's how they tour. So I do have some experience with that. It's just not what I do now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's I think, like, we were talking about everything being such a unique journey, and you were mentioning, Eric, about like your goals, because I kind of go into each tour with kind of an open mind, and not really much of an expectation, except for the
Right.
fact that we get to play live music. Honestly, you never know like how many people are going to show up. I mean, there can be so many factors involved. Our last tour, like, we were supposed to play Absolution Fest, and then the
Oh,
hurricane
yeah.
hit,
Yeah.
and that got
Oh,
canceled.
right.
But you never know, right? Like, there's just so many things, like a lot of X factors. And then sometimes you can play a show, and I mean, in our case, we've played shows where there's like 5 people in the audience. In Mankind is Obsolete, I think it was our second show ever. We played the skate park, and there was like maybe 5, 10 people in the audience. However, one of the people in the audience was the promoter that was putting on the KMFDM show.
Oh, wow.
And this was our second show ever. And so he approached us and was like, "Would you be interested in opening for KMFDM?" I was like, "Well, let me think about that." "Oh, I guess so."
That's
So you just,
amazing. I love that.
it really, I mean, truly, like, so you never know
Yeah.
who's in the audience. And I feel like, you can't really go into it with the expectation even of numbers. It's
No.
true of social media. It's true of music. Like, I feel like you have to kind of just really, truly love what you're doing, you
Except
know?
then it's the pressure though from promoters, like our ticket sales. Like,
Yeah.
so now that's
Yeah.
why we work a little on that. But I wish we could go back to like, it's just like
I
I
will
don't care that
say,
there's 5 people in the audience, but
well,
yeah.
it depends on the circumstance. I gotta mention though, Everything Goes Cold. I will not call out where it was because I feel like I'd be putting somebody on blast, but we once played a show that had 0 people paid out of town in the middle of a tour, and it still was worth playing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because of the long term benefits that contacts that we made as a result of playing that show, and showing up to a bad situation and powering through and actually playing the show will always give you a good relationship with the people who, the small number of people who showed up, the venue, whoever it is. If they know that you're willing to put in a large amount of work for a little return, it
Yeah.
it speaks well of everybody's artistic integrity or whatever, I guess.
I guess that, yeah, because we put on the same show no matter what. Like, there was some smaller shows, of
Yeah.
course. So you just give it the same energy that, yeah, it doesn't matter. I think that's the point, is it doesn't matter how many people. It does financially eventually, but
Yes. Yes.
but like for you as the artist, if money was no object, you put on the same show. Obviously, you like the energy of a good crowd that's really into it, but those 5 people might be the most energetic, or you might get that opportunity to say, "Well, we like your show. You want to tour with this other band." So yeah.
That the last area US tour, I say we never had a bad show, because even the shows that had smaller turnouts, there was always at least, like, 1 person in the front row who was like screaming along with every word to every song. And it's
Yeah.
There were definitely nights where it was like I'm really just playing to that one person, but
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
totally, that was great.
They had the night of their lives.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference, right? When you feel like you're connecting, even with one person,
Yeah.
like you see them out there and you see that they're really connecting with your music and you. I mean, I think that really, like, that's so special.
Yeah. I tend to get a lot of like that's what moves me the most is like after my show I'll get some people come up to me like they have some story and it's always so amazing and so moving that like how your lyrics or your music like changed my life or helped me through this situation. And I guess like that's their chance to say that to me in person and be there in front of me and kind of share their story. And that means the world to me. So I've said that. I'm like, I love when you like I hear that and it just that made that night worthwhile. That made that no more than 5 hour drive and that made that drive, that tiredness, that those road stops, the everything that you feel, they lived for that moment to see you and tell that story, so it's all worth it. Yeah.
I have a question from Jesus Bauer actually that said it's a question for Jennifer. Um, how did you come up for the lyrics for "Why Aren't You Dead Yet?" I love the double meaning.
Let the
The
record show.
lyrics?
I was mad that was not on our set list from the last tour.
Yes. So
That's
it's
my
interesting,
jam from
like
last
that
album.
song, Hello Again. I think that's your another question. Eric wants us to play that in the show. So I've got to rethink the set list because I didn't put it in the Battle Cry set list, but his favorite song always is the ones we don't play live. So
We never that's true, is that we never we play DOS now, which is my favorite first album. But
oh, really? Okay.
yeah.
Oh, and Flicker from Flicker is your favorite.
Yeah,
We don't
which
play
we never
it.
play.
And Why Aren't You Dead Yet? Okay, that's
Yeah.
funny. I do it out of spite. Anything he likes, I won't
It's
play.
true. It really it reflects our relationship pretty well.
Yeah. Oh no. But that song's I don't know really where the lyrics came out. I had this theme of like I really like true crime documentaries, so I started with that weird concept of the forensics of my like, and then I don't know if anyone ever got this, but that was the one song I was trying to do a different. I'm like I was trying to challenge myself vocally,
Yeah.
so I actually was going for like that kind of more 80s, like a gothy, like forensics of my heart show, and that's not really like it's more like a fluttery gothy thing. I was going for it. I might not have nailed it. It doesn't matter. But so that was like me trying to just do that kind of pace and style of his song. So the lyrics started of just like that kind of it's really like talking about like I'm like flubbing my words, I'm just tired, but like detective procedural, like forensics, and tying it into like, if I could get away with murder, like I'll wipe the scene clean of you. Like, so I just stuck to that theme and it just all kind of came together like that. There's no real deeper motivation for that one. That one does not have a person behind it, just so you know.
Jen's just trying not to say that it was, about trying to throw me off the tour band.
That I would murder. If I would get away with murder, you wouldn't last a day, Eric. Yeah.
Real quick, Jeff Baker is saying, Jennifer, that guy from South America that went to Tans just to see you. I think is saying
Yes.
saying hello.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Your question? He's just like, hi.
He's just saying hello. Yes, yes.
Nice to see you. Oh, great, you're on here. This is so fun. All these names and like, we didn't know who would watch and like, this is great.
It's always wonderful to see like the communities that come out and support and all their ways of how they've met you and how they've connected with you. I think that it's definitely a reflection of both of you as people and artists, because obviously if you were not approachable, they wouldn't feel comfortable asking the questions. So definitely a testament to the fact that you are obviously very generous with who you are as people and artists.
Thank you. And actually with tying it into touring, we love meeting people. So I like, how you said every tour is unique, and I love our low drama tours. I love that the whole band was like, we all got along so well and everyone is very personable and we all like meeting the people that come there. So there's never, except Eric, he's a bit of a standoffish guy, but
Yes.
yeah.
I'm sorry, don't talk to me.
Okay. I'm ready.
Oh.
We actually hate each other.
Yeah. We've actually never met before, which is really weird because we've done all these tours.
I make him sit in the trailer.
Yeah, that is that is
We do some jokingly things like you're annoying, mate. Like it's just you get the tour bickers. It's fun.
Well,
It's usually Eric.
I feel like that's usually Mike. Anyway, I was going to say though that like that really is like such a high point of touring that is you get a version of it at festivals, but definitely like the number of people you meet over the course of a tour is incredible.
Yeah,
and, that is great.
Yeah. And people travel like that example that Tans at the tours, the festivals. You're going to meet most people that traveled in one place, like they came from everywhere because it's a big event, and that's always fun. But we do like meeting everyone in their local cities too, because it's different experience. They're both great.
Yeah, absolutely. I do find that especially festivals feel like reunions for sure.
Oh yeah,
the people and the other bands, right? Like
that's a big feature of Dark Force. Dark Force always is I always see like people from that that we worked together like a bazillion years ago at that festival more than any other. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that again this year.
Yes,
we're both. Raised in Black is playing, so
that's
from the very beginning of your career.
So I played Dark Force last year, the festival in New Jersey. I'm going this year, and they announced I am doing one special guest vocal spot. I recorded a song with Fleshfield, and they're playing. So it's been announced. I get to go up and sing it, and his band is playing it as well. So we're gonna see so many friends there. It'll be amazing.
And you've never seen my band, actually.
No, so. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. No, it's just you don't play a lot of live.
Yeah, we don't play enough shows, but but we didn't play for 6 years prior to this show we did as sort of our comeback in February. We'll have some special guest stars and stuff though. It'll be fun. And Dark Force last year was the first show we'd ever done that was just me and Jen playing Ayria, because Mike was out with he was out with somebody else, but
my live musicians are from all over. We've got San Francisco, we've got Seattle, Atlanta. It's just hard to get everyone together sometimes. And for the tour, they can commit to the whole thing. But these one-off festivals, sometimes Sarah's in school, So it was a duo, just the two of us. He did backing or keyboards. So I like to have at least 3 people on stage, but
but I thought it was great. The crowd was really great. Also, it's nice when sometimes I get to be the hot one from the 2 keyboardists because Sarah's not there. I think that happened on tours. Like people will be like, "Hey, where's your keyboardist at? Which one? The hot one?" And I'll be like, "Oh, not me. I see."
It was Sarah. So poor Eric was like, I'm sure some people meant you. Yeah. It was cute. It was funny.
Yeah, it is interesting how, depending on, the availability of people, like how, people that are experiencing your band can have like a different lineup, a different experience of it. And I think that's actually very cool. Like it's like you never know what you're gonna get when you get to experience that, right? So
I was gonna make a joke that sometimes I'm not even there. I have to bring a few different live people just for different countries and expenses and logistics sometimes. And there's my core band, I love having the same people because you do get that when you call it tour tight. We get like that for any show with like Eric playing, like he knows all the parts, but sometimes you just have to do with a bit less. And with electronic music, it's possible. It's not full rock organic. So
I think we're definitely, for me, if I could set up an Ayria show, it would always have all 4 of us. But
it is good.
I will say when we did Dark Force last year, I think like you and I played off each other in ways that we normally don't because we sort of had to, right? And it actually I think it was a different show in a way that if you're somebody who had seen the band before, you were getting a different experience, and that was hopefully independently worthwhile.
I thought it was great.
There's I had a little bit more space to play a little bit different things because I was not thinking about what Sarah might be playing, and I was moving around a little bit more because we had a lot of space on stage. So I think it was
to be like it was just the 2 of us.
Do my big crazy leaning my keyboard all the way down, spinning it around kind of a thing.
He's known for that. It's amazing.
I think that's really inspiring because I feel like, as artists, then you really get to exercise your creativity to go like, okay, in this particular paradigm, how am I going to express? So,
Yeah.
it changes for each stage, I think. We're actually getting a question from Ryan Morgan. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Ryan is saying, "Hey Jen, last U.S. tour, you
I'm
said
wearing a
you tried
necklace
to."
he gave me. Sorry. That's yeah.
Oh, that was one of the questions. So, you said you tried to book a show out here in Tucson, AZ, but it didn't work out. Do you think that you'll ever perform in Tucson? And by the way, how are you enjoying the jewelries?
Thank you for the jewelry. It's so funny.
Who's this?
It's a unicorn.
Oh, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Tucson. We do try it's hard. Like sometimes our scene is pretty amazing that stuff has lasted so long. Like I have my list of the same promoters, some of the same venues that I've been playing 20 years. And it's amazing that, they're just like, yep, yeah, you're coming through, book you. But some cities change and venues close, promoters move on, not doing the same thing. So some of those markets we end up going, we can't really make it work this time. We don't know who to contact. It's just, we try to fill that gap, like just geographically where it is, it makes sense. But yeah, I would love to say, yeah, we always come through, but yeah, sometimes we just don't have a venue.
Well, I want to say for Tucson specifically, this last time, that thing we were saying about like the short drives and everything, we were a little bit more conservative with, I would say the markets that are pretty close to other markets. So we did play Phoenix,
Yeah.
but we didn't play Tucson.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I mean, I always associate Tucson with Mike and Tamara Jenny, who of course now are here. We actually saw them last night. So I think that has for me, I no longer, if I'm booking something, immediately know who I've got to call in Tucson.
They're not there anymore. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
of course, what I'd actually do is I'd call Tamara and say, "Hey, who am I supposed to call?" And
Right.
tell me, I'm sure.
Right.
But yeah, I imagine that's probably changed the scene down there a little bit. But also, Sam Von Kuka, I believe, is doing some events. I think in Tucson. I think, and he's an old friend of mine, and so
we're hooked up next time. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll be there, Ryan. No kidding.
Anyway, yeah, but I love Tucson. I love Tucson.
Yeah.
Like that whole area around like the Surly Wench pub. There's so much to do around there. There's that big crazy tiki bar.
Yeah.
So
we tried to get that. I didn't get any follow up. Yeah, it's like we said, sometimes there's really dedicated promoters and it changes and then you just don't get to do every stop. So but we hope we'll try again. We always next time through.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like in certain regions, like you were saying, like it's close ish to Phoenix,
Right.
and so you have to kind of be like, okay, if I have to pick one city, as much as we would love to play all the cities, I think,
Yeah.
Ryan came to Phoenix, so it's good to see you.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's how I got my jewelry.
Yeah. That often comes up like with like San Francisco and Sacramento. Like they're different communities and it's great to play both, but ultimately, that Sacramento people often will drive out here if they really have to. So it's and I think Tucson and Phoenix are kind of like that too. They're just close enough to be inconvenient, but not that inconvenient.
Yeah.
OpG4704 says pancakes is in Tucson.
Yeah, that's
yes, we love pancakes.
That's Sam who I was just talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I see Clint Carney on here as well. Just saying
oh my
hello.
God, hi Clint.
Oh, I love our peoples.
There's so many friends on here. Now I'm embarrassed.
I know. So we're getting several more questions. This is from Cliff Anderson. Says, "Hey y'all, while touring through Texas, anything stand out that make you go, yeah, we're in Texas. Much love."
Oh, yeah.
What's it called? The big
place in Amarillo. Yeah.
We were on our way. We finished our. I think we had finished our 3 Texas shows. We did Dallas, Houston, Austin.
Yeah, we were on our way north.
On our way north
somewhere.
to get to Denver. We had Denver.
Yeah.
and Mike, our like tour manager on the road and driver, is like, I got to take you somewhere. And we didn't even believe this place when we got there. It's called the Big Texan in Amarillo.
Yeah.
And it's insane. And there's like big, huge steaks and contests for if you can eat this
It was like
giant
steak Disneyland.
Yeah, it was
insane. It was the most utterly like, yeah, it was totally bonkers. And they had like, I don't know where to start with this place. First of all, we just got just enormous amounts of meat.
It was, and we were in tech. We were like, and there was like big mechanical bulls out front. It was just like
there was this elderly duo of musicians where like there was the girl with like the woman with the fiddle
playing Johnny Cash.
Yeah, playing Johnny Cash coming to our table, and it just. There was a guy there who was doing one of those, like, eat this gigantic steak under a certain time period, and you get your name on the Wall of Fame or whatever thing.
That was the contest, like eating the most meat in the list.
It was the literal, that Simpsons bit where the guy dies eating the steak. It was that actual thing. Like, that was what this was based on, apparently. And we watched this guy. He didn't win, by the way. He looked bedraggled.
It was like the heart attack was about to hit him, I'm thinking. Anytime.
That was
very Texan and American.
I've done a lot of stuff in Texas, and that is the most Texas thing I've ever done.
Oh, and then I think was Buc-ee's in Texas?
Oh, that's all over Texas.
Oh,
yeah.
but to me,
I just have to.
Okay, I'm Canadian. I did not know what, and I've toured a lot, but for some reason I've never stopped at this. So I did a post. I'm like, what is this place? And little did I know it's got its own like fan world of America. Like there's merchandise. It's a gas station, but not. And so everyone was schooling me on this because I just had a picture of me going first time at this crazy gas station, and then I learned that Buc-ee's is a thing. It's got a fan base, but anyways, and that. To me, that's maybe not Texas, but just the American things that I don't know about.
Yeah, so. I think this time our best show in Texas this time was Austin Elysium. Which always really shout out to John at Elysium. That's always a great show, and that was a highlight this time. Yeah, we had some really good barbecue that one night. Remember you and I went out. Everybody else.
I laughed though because I don't. In Austin, everyone goes for barbecue, but my favorite thing is a vegetarian restaurant near I'm not vegetarian, but this is this one restaurant. So, but yes, when we had barbecue, that was really good too. So yeah.
I'm getting a kick out of this myself because I'm from Texas.
Oh.
I'm actually from Lubbock, which is really close to Amarillo. And my cousin is a rancher in Amarillo. So I'll have to share. I love people's perceptions of Texas, like to hear, and totally nailing it here. Like you got the barbecue, you got the Buc-ee's for sure.
Yeah.
It's Buc-ee's.
Have you been to the Big Texan?
I've heard of it. That's a thing. It's like my cousin knows all about it, but
it was
destination.
It was an experience that I did not know that I needed to have, and I definitely needed to have it.
I want to go back.
Yeah. Oh, and so we're also getting a question from David Montoya. What would be a 3-band tour lineup that you would drive 100 miles to see? Bonus if the bands no longer exist.
That we would go to see? Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus Jones, EMF, and Carter the Unstoppable Sex Machine. Which is a lineup that I was about to fly to Toronto to see in June of 2020, and then the stupid pandemic hit, and they never rescheduled the show.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I'm gonna go see EMF. They're coming around in the U.S. finally for the first time in a bazillion years. I'm gonna go see them. I missed the last Jesus Jones tour because I was out with you, and Carter the Unstoppable Sex Machine. I don't know if I'll ever see them, but I hope it'll happen. That's my tour lineup that I'm craving.
I can't. I might have to skip this one. I'd have to put more thought into it. I'm not a good on the spot person, so
we'll put a pin in it.
I'll get back to you.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of who I think you would travel to see.
Oh no.
Oh, I don't know. I have to think about that.
Okay, we'll think about that. I'm sorry.
I feel like we should have some inside joke that's like the same band 3 times.
Yeah,
but
that.
Yeah.
I'm not that. I
see another band cover My Device 3 times in a row.
An area cover band.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Hey, if there was an area cover band out there, I would travel to go see that. That sounds incredible.
Because that would never happen. Because it's so far out of the realm. Yeah. I'll get back to you, David. I know your contact.
Getting some love from DJ Skeletal. saying always welcome in St. Louis. I booked Ayria maybe 16 to 17 years ago here at
Wow.
Dante's, and of course Tosh many times. We
Uh,
are so grateful for you. Thank you so much.
I have to remember that context. We didn't do St. Louis. We haven't done it in a while. So if you're still booking,
Mhm.
here we go.
I've never
Awesome.
played St.
Good to
Louis,
see you.
actually.
It was a really good time.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a beautiful venue, wonderful community at Fox.
Yeah, I've heard a lot
Highly
about it.
recommend it. Yeah, just
Very
wonderful, wonderful people. So yes,
awesome.
if y'all can route through, I highly recommend it.
That one I'll
Yeah.
put on top of mine because I did like playing there. It was great.
Um,
All these-
oh, Radensky is saying, I can't wait to see you at Dark Fest singing Flesh Fields.
Me too.
Awesome.
I'm
Yes.
practicing that one.
No, you can't not wait to see me. You haven't seen my band play in like 10 years.
He's not
Come
a
on,
fan.
Kevin. I have like the one band that Kevin's not into. That's it.
Oh, we're excited for you too, Eric. I like that.
This is another question from David L. One of my favorite songs is 6 Seconds. What is the meaning behind it?
Oh no.
If you're willing to share.
No, but it's
Highly
just,
detailed microwave oven instruction.
it's funny because I think back, that was a really old one too. And I don't even think, I hate disappointing people, but I don't think it's that sensical. I think it was just a really cool vibe I had going on. And, it had this like kind of megalomaniac KMFDM,
Yeah.
and it's just like, it's going on. And like the lyrics are literally, it's going on forever. It's going on forever and ever. And yeah. And I hate to disappoint, but yeah, there's not really a lot to explain to the depth of that. It was just like an awesome stompy dance song. So yeah, that's it.
It's got like that gallopy rhythm to the vocals
Dun,
that I
dun,
think
dun,
really
dun.
is really distinctive.
Yeah. You're making me think of these. I didn't do that one on the last tour either, but yeah, these older songs. I wish I could do more in them.
Yeah, we could
in
do
the set.
6 Seconds. That'd be a fun one to put back in. I like that.
Yeah.
scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put it back in the set though, even though it's about nothing. Okay.
I think it's always interesting, like especially when you start building your catalog, because you have to choose like how am I going to squeeze in material into this condensed amount of time, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes you'll choose something, but then you'll have your audience that's like, well, I would really wish you could have played this song.
It's always
Yeah.
when you don't play. And I have a rule. I pick at least 2 from every release to balance it. But sometimes, you just wish you could do that third one, or that you're like, oh, everyone asked about that, but I just can't fit it in. And sometimes for me vocally, I know there's a one people want to hear, but I can't really pull it off live as well. I'm just not like the range might, like, I'm like, oh, if I'm struggling, that one won't go over well, or I don't feel good singing it live, or there's one song I have called Invisible, and I know people love it, but there's no vocal gaps, like, and it's fast. There is not one instrumental break in that. So I'm like, I can't breathe when I do that song. So, and I know I struggle and it won't sound very good. So I just choose not to do it. So,
I'll just sing that one next
okay,
time.
he'll
Yeah.
sing it.
Actually, I actually have a lot to play on that song, so that's
Okay.
that'll
I
be a
did
tough
like
one.
it. I did like that one. Yeah.
I should mention, I know this was obviously about, that was definitely a very Jen question, but in my own band, we have songs that we've had people cycle out of the band and we can't play them without them. We've got a couple songs from the first album that I just like, we would have to totally restructure around somebody else's vocals or capabilities or whatever. I think that some of that is stuff where it's like, I wish that I thought more about that when I was, when I was writing that song, being able to do it live, which is something Dan from Babyland used to talk about that a lot. He always used to say that, like, if he couldn't play a song live, it wasn't going on the album because then somebody would want to play it, he would be able to.
That's
or
back
things
to
like
the
that.
question that
Not in exactly those words, but that was a thing that he was often concerned about.
makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when you are like putting the songs together for the album, like keeping the live element in mind can
Yeah.
definitely be a factor for sure. Yeah. There's definitely songs on our albums that we have not performed live. So, yeah.
There's
It's hard to make the call. Yeah.
there's this XTC documentary that I watched a couple of years ago where, they asked them sort of in depth why they hadn't played live in a million years, and they were like, oh, well, because everything that we write now is just for, or not now, it was all 20 years ago, but everything that they'd written was really just for recorded stuff, and they didn't feel like they could do anything useful with it live anymore. And my thought process as a fan was definitely, well, I want to hear this weird alternate version of this that you can only play live. But yeah, I don't know. Artistically, maybe that didn't suit them, so I can see that too.
This is a question that I get myself quite a bit, and I always think it's a really interesting, inspiring question. Is what like is there a certain way that you approach your songwriting? Is there, or does that vary from song to song? Like, is there a favorite way that you like to explore your songwriting?
You go first, or?
You go first. I'll think about
Think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I rely on, I got a phone here, but my voice notes, my voice memos, because my ideas will come to me. I'll be in the shower, I'll be walking my dog, and I just get a melody in my head, and I'm like, oh God. And so I have to quick get it out. And so I've got a million voice notes that I will go back to say, oh yeah. And then I'll say, that one's good. I'm going to flesh that out. And then I go, to my computer, I load up my software, and I start like laying down beats. Yeah, I usually pick the BPM of something, lay a very basic beat down, and try to get that melody out, even if I haven't done the verses or something around it. And then I'll structure it. I go, okay, it needs this many bars for the verse. And then I go, what complements that part I wrote? So that's kind of where I come from. Or sometimes it's like a mood, like I know I want to write about a theme, which usually dictates this is going to be a ballad or this one's going to be really angry. So I think it varies, but this last album, it's all my voice notes that I'm just walking around with. I definitely start with a vocal melody. And if not, it's a synth. It's just a little catchy, like da, 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 and it just like plays in my head until I get it out, and then I'll do stuff around there. But that's my own process. So
I usually sort of start with a sketch, which is usually like, a synth lead or a beat or something like that, and then oh, pardon me. I told you at the beginning. Scott said he was going to mute me, so I assume nobody can hear me anymore.
Jordan, like,
oh God. I usually start with a sketch, and I spend a lot of time thinking about structure and trying to make sure that whatever I'm doing in any given song that I'm writing is different than at least what I did in the last couple of songs, if not something totally different than anything that I've ever done, which I found my bandmates often are on my case because they're like, why is there like a 3-bar break here that makes no sense, or things like that. But I spend a lot of time thinking about structure, and that guides a lot of my songwriting. But I also I try to make sure that things have melodic, and there's not a lot of my writing that is super present in Cyclone 9, but the stuff on INRI, I think this was what I added to that I think actually seeped into some of the later stuff that they did too without me. I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that things have a lot of melodic and harmonic progression in a way that I think a lot of electronic bands in our genres don't always. And that always stands out to me when I think that there hasn't been thought put into the really like that side of the structure, because I think those songs don't stick with people as well. And I feel like the difference between songs that you hear on the dance floor for a month that then go away versus some Depeche Mode song that's been getting played for 40 years is often, did somebody stop to think about, does this feel good as a complete unit in a more traditional music kind of way? And I think people are tempted to avoid thinking like that deliberately because of the theoretical ideals of industrial music challenging the ideas of what music is supposed to be about. And I'm like, you can think about that but then still write a good song. So that's my shtick on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, the structure, the arrangement, how you layer things, it really can change everything.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the fun, right? Oh, sorry. Do you,
Pardon me.
do you need a
I'm
water
fine.
break?
No, I'm fine. This is I do have a cough drop though. That'll probably help.
Oh,
Have some
This thing has
water.
been.
You need water.
I was really hoping like 3 days ago. I was like, this has got to be gone by the time I'm doing this interview. But
You can ask me something while he gets his voice.
I have these
well,
wonderful
yeah,
cough drops that I got in Canada, so that's how you know.
ooh. So we're getting a question from Ryan Morgan. I remember listening to 6 Seconds on a 4 CD compilation by VF before the Heart for a Bullet album or the Gunsong EP were released.
Oh, that's a
I
weird
love the
album,
VF.
right? Yeah.
I love the VF version. Why is it different from what it is now?
Really? Okay. No, I love that one too. That one was okay, well that's interesting. So the original one that you love was before I was working with a producer. And then I got a producer involved in the Hearts for Bullets album, Seb Comer from Iconic Coils, Comer Commander, and the one that ended up on Hearts for Bullets is the one produced by him. So that's why they vary a little. So yeah, the difference of working with a producer and not. So yeah.
Yeah. Are you both self-produced or do you work with different producers? At least with your current albums that you're.
Yeah. I write my songs, structure them, layer them, and then send off stuff to work with a producer for the final thing, because my interest is not in saying I can do everything and I want to tweak. I don't like tweaking the little hi-hats. So I like writing vocals and melodies and harmonies and structuring the song. So I feel like I'm a songwriter and I do program and complete the song. But those final details of like getting that, that final EQ, because that would drive me crazy. That's just not my forte. And that's what I do. So you work with a producer too, right?
Well,
you know what though, can I just say, because I feel I defend it a little more. We're going to get into the feminism part, because a lot of people, oh, well, if you don't do everything and you're a woman, like, whereas, or like a woman might get, well, you're just the singer. Like, oh, would you tell Dave Gahan he was just the singer? So certain things like that. I think women feel like they've got to do it all and do everything to be that fully respected. But I mean, I've been in the business for over 20 years and I do program, I do write and everything, but I just decided that the time needed to spend to get that next level of production. That's just not where I want to put my efforts. I want to write another song. So you go.
Okay, well, first, let me say that one of the very first shows I ever played with Jennifer back in like 2005, I have this very clear memory of somebody coming up. I think they came up to Joe, who was playing keyboards with us at the time, and was like, "Oh, I love those beats you were making." And he was like, "I didn't write any of this." And they're like, "Well, no, we know you really wrote it." He was like, "No, she wrote all that. I didn't write any of this. I just showed up to play live." And like this guy like would not believe it, and it was that was my first direct experience with the
sexism in the
weird layer of misogyny that's floating around everything in this industry. That I mean, it's everywhere, but it was a very direct experience for me, which I would not have normally had. So I got to see that.
Yeah, actually, and then one you weren't on. There's just one more story because it's about touring. This is bad. I'm not going to call it the city, but the sound guy here. There's me say the sound person who was a man. Went up to
this guy was a jerk though, so
yeah I call everyone guys. So went up to Mike, who is my drummer, and he's like, okay, so what are we gonna do here? What do we need? And he's like, oh, talk to her. And it's just like, no. And I came up, I'm like, oh, what do you need to know? He's like, honey, the men are talking.
Oh wow.
I've never been so angry in my life, but you don't really want to anger the sound person because that could ruin your show. So I actually had to eat my anger, and I just walked off, and I think I went backstage and went, and Mike knew.
Yeah.
And Mike's like, I'm gonna deal with it for her, but I had to just let him get away with it, because if I exploded, we might have lost the set. We were just opening. But anyways, there's my other story. It's been a lot. I would say it's better now. These are 20 years ago stories. It's not great now, but it's my personal experiences. It's been better. So yeah.
You don't want to anger the sound guy, except for that one time.
What?
On the last US tour.
Oh, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that.
Anyway,
okay, I got a little aggressive. Sweet little me did get aggressive on one show.
I had never seen her do that before. It was very funny.
I'm done putting up with the bullshit.
Yeah.
It took 20 years for me to find my voice. No, but okay, go ahead.
So for me, the question was originally about, we were talking about the producer thing.
I just thought I'd throw in sexism in the music industry just
Yeah.
to like really rile up.
We have to get to it at some point.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to avoid doing things myself for my own band that I'm not good at. And if I don't think that I'm good at something and it's not something that I enjoy so much that I really want it to be my specialty, then I'd rather get somebody else involved who's somebody really cool to do it. So, I feel like everybody should know enough to get a demo out. Everybody should be able to put something together on their own that gets their ideas across to the people that need to know what the idea is. So I can put together, I think I'm a little bit better than that. We've put out a couple things recently. We did that, Everything Goes Cold did that Divorce tribute compilation, for example, and we did recording of some of the instruments at my drummer's house, who also does a lot of production. But I mixed that entirely myself, and I feel like it came out pretty well, if I will say so myself. But our most recent single, for example, well, our albums, we've always had somebody doing the mixing at least. And on the last album, we had Wade Allen from Christ Analog as the producer, and he definitely did a little bit more than that. He did a lot of tweaking and a lot of like adding little noises and changing effects and things like that. But it wasn't, yeah, it was definitely production, but it wasn't the sort of super involved production that people associate with like 90s producers. And this time, when we did this most recent single, I asked my friend Mattia Simovic to do it, and he is a producer. Like that is, he's and he's worked with a lot of really cool newer bands. He's done stuff with like everybody from Boy Harsher to what do you call it, and Patriarchy, and my favorite of his bands that he's worked on is Sacred Skin. A lot of these newer bands that are doing really cool, cutting edge stuff. And I went down and actually did all the recording and everything in his studio from start to finish. And it was a great experience, and I highly recommend it if you have the opportunity, first of all, to work with Mattia, but also to work with, a really serious producer who maybe has a more diverse skill set than than people traditionally do in our community. Not that Wade doesn't have that skill set, he does, but it was a home studio. This was like a full working studio at the top possible level, and it wasn't easy to make that happen. Fortunately, I've known Mattia for a long time, so I think he was able to slot me in at a schedule that was a little bit more convenient than maybe anybody else might have been able to get. So I appreciated that. But it was a really good experience, and I don't know if we'll be able to do that all the time going forward, but I learned so much about what could be done during the process of creating a track that I feel like I'll be able to take to every experience going forward. So I hope we'll have the opportunity to do more things like that again.
Yeah, I mean, it's speaking to Jen, you were talking about, feeling like you have to wear so many hats. And I love that both of you are talking about like the strengths of the people that you've worked with. Because I feel like really like any particular piece of art that you create, if you choose to make it collaborative, which a producer is a collaboration, it's sort of like going like, okay, the sum of the parts are greater than the whole, right? So
Sure.
like you're giving everything that you can, and the only way for it to be the greatest, whole is for you to sort of accept like, okay, this is my best that I can give, and this person has a skill set that I don't have, right? And really celebrating that so that you can make the biggest, greatest piece of art that you can out of it,
Yeah.
and hopefully learn from it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you recognize that, what you bring to the table. Like I work with people like I said, I can't do what you do. I can't get those harmonies or think of that catchy, I can't write a song like that, but my skill sets that like I can perfect this and flesh it out technically. So we all kind of have our own strengths. And if you find those good partners to work with, whether it's studio production, live, like it makes everything better and it comes together and that creates art, right? Like it puts it, polishes it, and it's ready to go.
Yeah. I think that's really part of the fun, because you could just be a studio artist in your home as a solo artist and just putting out work that way, which is awesome. But I feel like both of you are wired to get out there in your community to create with each other, with other people. You are band people, right?
Oh,
So
definitely, yeah. I I try to do things as collaboratively as possible. A thing that I definitely have learned from my own band is, and honestly from everything that I've ever done, is if you try to do that too hard, at some point things are going to stop because we're adults with day jobs and it's hard to coordinate everything. So, you know, flexibility is also key, but as great though that collaboration may be.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting to that time at 4:30. I know you guys have many things on your plate. Just asking the community as a whole, are there any last questions that you wanted to ask these wonderful friends of ours? If there's anything, please put in the chat. If you have time, Jen, you're getting asked from Rodensky, which Indian restaurant would you recommend in Toronto, since I know it has a famous area for Indian restaurants?
Oh, wow. I'm going to recommend one called Banjara on Bloor Street. And I'll send you the info. Are you coming to Toronto? Are you? Okay, here's a secret announcement. We are playing Toronto on June 14th.
Oh yeah.
It actually has not been announced publicly. We're just waiting for the details from the promoter and the club. This will be my first hometown show in a very long time, and it'll be my only show announced of 2025 as I'm working on the new album. Like there might be others that come, but this is the first one announced, and you can meet my mom.
I'm stoked. Also, this is going to be the first show.
Flying in
I am
for that,
flying
yeah.
in, but it's also going to be the first show with Joe in I don't know how many years.
So Joe Byer is from the band Void, V01D, and he was my co-produce, like helped produce Flicker. We worked on that very collaboratively, and we didn't work on stuff since that. He has his own band and stuff, but he's one of my best friends in Toronto as well, like been my best friend for like 20 years. And he wants to return for this show. He's like, I'm going to play live synths, and that works out well for me. And so the one lineup of the first time Eric played with me was Eric and Joe and me, and we're gonna do that in Toronto, and it's really cool. Yeah.
So I'm really stoked about this. This is going to be a great show.
Oh, that's exciting. I feel like it's going to be really special too, being able to have like your family and friends in your hometown too.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of family there. It's gonna be odd. That makes me more nervous than performing to like strange to friends is fine, but family, like, oh, it's so judgy. No, they're
It's a different
excited.
beast.
No, like my mom is like, I'll wear my black hoodie. I'm like, you don't have to. Like,
Oh, that's really sweet.
yeah.
Dress your mom up in like giant cyber
Cyber.
balls and yeah.
That's amazing.
So you're getting a lot of love and gratitude. John Turner is saying thanks so much for doing this. Dusty Chalk also, thank you so much for your time and your generous sharing. Verdensky says not anytime soon, but epsilon something about and your puppy and epsilon minus.
Okay, yes. My puppy is Ripley.
John is saying that he's going to try to make that Toronto show.
Oh
I
my
really
God,
want to see
he's
a
from
hometown
Seattle.
show.
Oh, yeah,
Awesome.
that'd be awesome.
I think
That's
I remember
awesome.
him saying that. Yeah.
And David is saying, I hope to see you guys in New York. So,
Best.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, Eric, thank y'all so much for taking the time to chat with all of us and for sharing your amazing wisdom and perspective. It's been such a joy and inspiration to share the time with you.
Well, thank you for having us, Tosh. Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
And,
this was great. A lot of fun. Thanks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thanks everyone
Yeah.
that watched this long and to just hear us go on. And
Yeah, I'm glad this worked out while Jen was here, because I feel like there probably wouldn't have been quite as many questions if it was just me.
Oh,
So
I'm happy
Well, I feel like
here and got to participate. Yeah, and thanks for having both of us on. It's great. Yeah. We've had
Yeah,
both
I mean,
shared experiences and separate, so it's been fun. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of the joy is getting to really see your friendship, because I think that's really part of the beautiful part of being in a band together, right? Is the friendship, the family, the chosen family part, and
Yeah, she's all
you
right,
can
I
see.
guess. Yeah.
Oh, well, dear friends, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for sharing your time with us as well. Best of luck to both of you. So excited to hear the new music as it comes out, and hopefully get to catch a live show as well this year somehow. So yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
well,
so
we'll
much.
see you around soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right. Bye
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.